just to pretend. You would teach me love is easy. We were more than just good friends. Something deep within the soul. Feeling that I'm never gonna see again.
Welcome to another Monday show. How's everybody doing out there? Before we get started, quick reminder, subscribe and hit the like button, because that's like all super duper important as far as Google is concerned. The robot overlords require us to push buttons, otherwise the buttons fail to be pushed, and robots can't do that themselves. Until the near future, that is. What is going on? Everybody, I forgot to take the lens cap off of the camera. Hope you're all having a fantastic Monday out there. It's Monday. Whoo! Creepy Monday, everybody. Good to be here. Good to see all your bright and shiny faces. Who was first to the chat? Pipex, Rumbust, Dave's Aquariums, Big D Smoke, Alyssa Bentley, Mikey Fishy, Tony Franzen, Frank Dominguez coming in at the 7th first. The Zombie Drummer, Mirdul Singh, Mike's Aquariums, Paulette, Joel G, Michael Sarr, Erna Pickery, Janice Lumberg, Rico Stan, Charlie 7842. I already said Alyssa, but what's up, Alyssa? Good to see you. Daniel Velez, Janice Lumberg, Rookie Aquatics, Jay's Crazy Obsessions, Andrew Homan, scrolling. Groveside Aquariums, what's up? Look at all those green names. We got a lot of green names, but we haven't got any new members in a long time. So we'll see what happens here today, because it is Monday. You got to watch out. Monday the 23rd. I don't know how many times the 23rd of November has been Thanksgiving, but I feel like the 23rd has been Thanksgiving a bunch of times. And it doesn't happen until Thursday, which this year, as I posted into Facebook, it's just a regular work day. I'm not rescheduling this week. I'm just going to continue working like normal to continue getting things done. So, yeah. What's up, 2020? We don't even get to have Thanksgiving this year. I don't know about your neck of the woods, but if you live on planet Earth, the coronavirus is spreading around like crazy. So we're just not doing Thanksgiving. Yeah. And that's just how that's going this year. Kind of a drag, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's nothing I can do. I haven't invented a vaccine yet, so apparently I'm not doing my part. But good to be here. Good to be healthy. Good to be happy. Good to have good stuff going on. We did have a bit of bad news in the early chat there. One of our longtime fans around here, Pugman, lost 100-ish tilapia died. They're not as cold tolerant as I'd hoped. That's right. Beware of tilapia. They do have that inclination to not be happy with the cold. So that's the hard way to learn. But you know, wherever you're at in the world, you might not have enough. What do you call it? Enough a temperature to keep them tilapia doing well. That's the word. I mean, you might have that kind of deep freeze drop, whereas I do know they do really well in California and stuff like that. Out here, we do throw a little heater in the ponds with them if need be. But yeah, they don't do that well in the cold. They kind of drop out pretty quickly. Rookie Aquatic says, I'm saying this now. If anybody becomes a member in the next 5 minutes, I will also join in. Well, there you go. If somebody becomes a member, you get a twofer. You get a 2-for-1. So that's always beneficial, right? That would put us back to 100 of our goal of 700. But, you know, is what it is. We're making our favorite sides, a pie, and having tamales on Thursday while we stay at home. Yeah, Vicky and I and Olivia are going to cook a turkey. That's pretty much how it's going to be. But it's going to be pretty much just regular old dinner time. I'm going to cut out of work a little bit early. And hopefully the what do you call it? Traffic isn't too bad, and I'll be able to get home on time. We did have a couple super chats here. One from Charlie 7842. What's up, my guy? Haven't seen you in quite a while. That's that old $4 cup of coffee super chat. And Fish Tank Barn with a $5 super chat for the tip jar for next year's Thanksgiving stuffing. Thanks, my guy. Appreciate it a lot. But yeah, we will be cooking a turkey because we already had ordered a turkey ahead of time from our local. I'm just going to say turkey distributor. That's not really correct, but you get it. We ordered one. So one was scheduled to be delivered, and it was like, well, we can cook a turkey and freeze off everything that we have left over. We'll just debone it. And I'll probably boil down the bones and make stock out of it again this year, and freeze that. So, it's not like anything's going to waste. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing around here. But it'll just be a regular old dinner with me and Vicky and the baby. So, should be fun. Nothing, it's not like I get to see a bunch of family, so that part sucks. But, it's not like I'll be, super depressed or anything like that because I'll get to hang out with my fam, so it's okay. It's Nature Man says hello. What's up? Hello. Who was it? Somebody had mentioned that they went hunting in the chat. Where did that go? Somebody had mentioned they went hunting, and I got to tell you, I don't know. It was Rookie said went hunting, but of course ain't seen nothing. Ain't seen anything. Which is, I got to tell you guys, when it's not hunting season, you go out there and you run into all sorts of animals. But when it is hunting season, man, it gets rough out there, especially in a lot of areas where people are hunting. All the animals know. They hear that gunfire once, and they're like, oh, that's the beginning. Somebody's shooting a gun off. Okay, and all the animals seem to vacate. Becomes much more difficult. You know what I mean? So, mad respect to due diligence. I tell you, every time you go out scouting, like before season, you're always like, oh, yeah, the deer are moving over here. The turkey's going over that way. Everything's like, oh, yeah, this totally makes sense. No worries here. We're gonna lock it down this year, but then lo and behold, not so much when as soon as the season opens, which sucks, but kind of how it goes. Alyssa says we're going to roast a duck. I have it right now in the freezer, and just like Brussels sprouts and mashed potatoes. That sounds about right. Keep thinking we'll make cookies and stuff and deliver goodie boxes to people, but man, everyone wants us to hang out, so we're on the fence about that. Yeah, that's kind of the big issue is like this obviously this pandemic's been going on for quite a long time now, months and months. And I think people are feeling the need to see a lot more people, and it's spreading around the virus, and then it gets worse, and then it goes back the other way, and then it goes back the other way. I don't know. I think we all should just do our best to hang tight in the meantime. It's really hard to meet up with people now and like wear a mask and be outside because it's like 35 degrees out there and cold. And that's not the most comfortable thing in the world to be doing. So we did the outdoor birthday party for Olivia where people just kind of drove up and, like we hung out in the yard and they hung out by the sidewalk, kind of thing. And I mean, it was okay. It was fun that people stopped by, but it was like, man, it's not the same. It's not the same being able to see anybody and actually talk with them and sit down and have a good time. But it is what it is. So there's not much I can do to really convince anybody of really anything. And I don't even know if it's my place to convince people on what to do on a pandemic, but my advice is hang tight. It will settle out at some point in time, but in the meantime, it's winter here. It's already here in November. So, my best advice is don't go to indoor functions that you're gonna catch a virus from everybody. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I don't know. Be careful. Be careful with the duck. My aunt set my grandfather's duck on fire one Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of people burn duck many times, man. I used to. Well, we used to do. Let's see. We used to do 3 or 4 cases of duck, so 160 pounds, 2 to 3 times a week, and I've definitely seen a lot of burnt duck. Even when we were doing duck confit, and somehow people would manage to screw the recipe up, even though it was kind of foolproof. I'd seen a lot of people burn duck for sure. That's very high fat content, so always got to kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, we make roast pork shoulder for the PR, guessing Puerto Rican side of the family, and fish for the Spanish side. Yeah, sounds reasonable. I'd be into that for sure. No real complaints there. I mean, roast pork is good, and fish is good. So yeah, I'd be into that. Big D Smoke says, I'm very used to being by myself all day. Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you guys, Dennis is in quarantine a lot. Mr. Big D Smoke in the chat there. He's in quarantine all the time. So my mad respect goes out to Big D Smoke, man. It's hard to be alone a lot, but it's nice to have something like Discord or whatnot where we can all kind of chat about things on a regular basis. So I think that's one of the perks. I worked at a duck restaurant until I got sick of it. Staff meal 75% of the time. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, working in restaurants, people are always like, oh, dude, you guys get to eat good food all the time. Staff meal is not what you think. Staff meal is not what you think. It's always some kind of, bulk pasta or whatever leftovers protein-wise that you had from 2 days ago. You're not getting menu items from staff meal and stuff like that. So, but I think there's a lot of people out there that have a complete misconception of what restaurant work is. I think if you watch it on TV, you think it's this real fancy, slow-moving, hey everybody, now we're gonna peel our basil. We're gonna pull our basil, and then we're gonna make basil chiffonade, and we're gonna do 8 leaves, and we're gonna fold them over real nice and slow, and then we're gonna make basil chif here. Whereas I'd be screaming at somebody in a nice way. I definitely am not Gordon Ramsay level of maniacal craziness, but if somebody was just standing around making their basil chif all super slow and I'm gonna pat these down, they need to be rinsed, trimmed, cut up, dried, in the pan, move on to the next thing, and you better be working on 5 other things all at the same time. It's legit. That's the thing. The restaurant business will teach you a lot about economy of time, how corporations respect labor and whatnot, and how much they don't respect labor. So, it's something to keep in mind. And I had a conversation with somebody a while ago. It was they were 70. I'm talking to a 70-year-old that was yeah, when I was in college, I worked at a burger. I was flipping burgers, and yeah, that's kind of wild stuff. And you're okay, a burger joint let's see, when you were in college 50 years ago, let's do some quick maths here. In 1970, right? A little bit different than today's economy of like you better produce for the company. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I get it that it probably wasn't the easiest job in the world 50 years ago either, but I think they're definitely two vastly different things from now. Let's see. 5 pounds of basil, 5 minutes ago now. Go. Yeah, that's right. When you get the stacks of the basil boxes dropped off on your station, it's like, oh, man. Let's see. What's your favorite way to cook duck? I would say duck confit is probably my favorite, realistically. But, a lot of people don't like duck confit because it kind of freaks them out or whatever. But just roasting a duck, like smoke it and then roast it, generally is, if you're somebody that knows how to run the smoker, you can run it there long term. But I think it's easier to just put a light smoke on it for 3-4 hours and then pop it in the oven. Or in your if you have a roaster, you could do it that way. But most people just have an oven, so throw it on a rack in the oven. Roast it up, easy money, nothing too concerned about it. Cover it, let it rest. It'd be good to go. Charlie says chop right next to the grill while not burning what is on the grill. Yeah, typically, like most restaurants don't have a chop station right next to the grill. It's just not a great spot for it. But yes, you are definitely on the right mindset. I was here before you started, but want to get ready for the day, expecting to hear when you started. Or come on, Kiwi, rattle your dogs. We're starting, lol, but coming back, you're whispering. Dogs must have turned the sound down. Yeah, that probably happened. Where's my background tunage? I'm going to turn on background tunage. Why not? Forever. Yeah, have a little background jammies. Yeah, looks like the level's about right. So, yeah. But yeah, dogs, you gotta watch out. Dogs will turn the sound down on stuff. The dog was up on the couch the other day, sitting on the remote, and it got turned up, which is a little bit crazier than turning it down, because turning it down, you're like, oh, it's quiet, freak out. But a super loud TV all of a sudden was weird. Myrtle Singh says, off topic, but if you had the ability to clone yourself, would you, and how many clones would you make? I get the sentiment behind it of like, oh, you would think that all of your clones would want to work on what you want to work on. But knowing me, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go work on some other stuff. You got this handled. That's fine. But I wouldn't clone myself, and the big reason for that is there are 8 billion people on the planet, and I believe that in my heart of hearts, it is a better opportunity to build community and work within a community than it is to just try to replicate yourself. Replicating yourself is just kind of a weird idea, and Star Wars has brought that back to the forefront. Some people have been bringing that up recently because a lot of the, if you guys follow Star Wars or whatever, they clone Boba Fett's dad. I think that's correct. I might be a little bit off here, but you get the idea. They cloned Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett, right? And that's what they made all the stormtroopers out of, or to make a big army out of it for the Clone Wars or whatever. It's all very weird, but sci-fi stuff. But I think the reality is, like, there's enough people on the planet to build a community versus just isolationist type thought. And I think that we all should try to do that in our own day-to-day, is, building a community and being representative of our own portion of the community to be able to, continue moving forward, right? Like, I think it's a big part of what I want to work on, like, as time goes on here, is building more of a community and, like, basically showing more of what's going on. There was a big part of, we were going to do that this year. Obviously, there's been a pandemic, so doing a bunch of those projects out with other people and stuff, the pandemic kind of stopped all those projects, and going out to do that stuff, this year, it all got kind of put off. So, I'm trying to, like, parlay my thought process to people via the internet in a certain kind of more reasonable fashion, than seems to be happening on a day-to-day basis. You log into a lot of the social media type accounts and stuff that we do, and it's all just wildly divisive and, scapegoating large groups of people that can't really defend themselves. Recently I had somebody who was trying to explain to me that, with air quotes, the left are the authoritarians that are trying to, destroy the world or whatever. And it was just like, well, what do you mean the left? And it's like, oh, liberals. Like, so what do you mean, like 60% of the world? Like, I don't understand exactly where you're coming from there. And it's like, well, all those people over there. I'm like, okay, let's have a specific conversation about what it is that you are concerned with. But, like, scapegoating 4 billion people is an impossible conversation to have, trying to relate that to people. Who knows if I even do a good job of doing that or not. I think of late, I've seen a lot of commentary about myself where it's like, oh, this guy's like a super liberal, like, college intellectual dork from the West Coast. Yeah. Like, okay, like, and I think I've done fair to middling job of explaining that, like, I am a blue collar guy. I go out and I cut lumber, I build things, I ran restaurants, I've done construction. That's what I do. I also read, because I feel like, being a well-rounded person, you'd want to do both of those things. So you would not only want to be an intellectual person, but you also want to be a handy person, I believe, is what a well-rounded human looks like. So I try to do that myself. And that's kind of how I've sort of molded my life. That's kind of what I want to do with my life, and I do that. So it's kind of weird to hear the commentary that, like, because I'm a big fan of actual liberty versus, like, hypothetical liberty, right? Is my stance on life. And, like, I do have personal responsibility, but I also believe that these organized groups are important. For instance, like our government, to represent the people, right? Like, the government is the conglomerate of all of our input to essentially protect the American people and, from these bad policies or corporations And I heard somebody put this pretty well. I think it was Thomas Lowell or something like that. I can't remember exactly who I've attributed this to, but they mentioned that if we're going to have a discussion about $100 billion corporation that has like this insane amount of power, like Google, for instance, right? What mechanism do we have as an average person to not allow them to take advantage of the position of power that they have, right? And a good example would be in Europe. I know that a lot of people have problems with the EU and a lot of people have problems with Europe, whatever, okay? The example that I'm giving them is in Amazon. So the company Amazon, what they do is they use essentially like third-party plugins and information tracking in order to find out how much is being purchased of a certain specific thing, like this paintbrush right here. This paintbrush is produced by whomever, I don't know, Protege, right? If enough of these paintbrushes are ordered in Europe, they collect enough data to go, oh, we'll just buy a paintbrush company and then sell paintbrushes, right? And it pushes the paintbrush company out of business without any sort of recompensation against that company going out of business. So what happens to the paintbrush company people that work there? They just don't have a job anymore because now Amazon has that job, right? And basically what's happening in the EU is that like they're essentially trying to limit the amount of information that Amazon is able to gather from these orders and stuff, and we'll see what happens, what shakes out with that, but it's just like an example of like a company that's worth like $2 trillion now or something crazy like that. Like how would we as just a guy with a couple of bucks in my pocket, like how would I battle against a $2 trillion corporation that is just churning along and ripping up businesses? And I think like if you wanted to look that up, you'd want to look up like Amazon baby diapers company. If you look that up, like they drove out a bunch of baby diaper companies out of business because they wanted to buy them, right? And they refused to be bought by Amazon. And so what Amazon did was they sold diapers. First of all, they were buying all of the diaper material and stuff up, and then they were buying locking in all of the companies that made diapers, right, that produced these diapers. Then they were selling diapers at a dramatic loss, right? So they knew that they were going to sell whatever 100 million or 2 billion diapers or whatever at a crazy super loss, that eventually these other companies would go out of business. Then they'd raise their prices back up and then just make up the money that they lost by being the only company that's selling diapers, right? But what happens to all those small diaper companies that went out of business? And I've been watching this in the United States for the last 25 years with companies like Walmart, where Walmart comes into a town. Then they build a Walmart because they realize like, oh, there's 90,000 customers in this area that drive into this area. That's enough customers for us to build a Walmart. Then they build the Walmart. Then they sell everything that all the other businesses in the area at a lower price under one roof, right? All the other businesses can't even compete with the prices because they're selling at a loss. And all the other businesses go out of business, then they raise their prices up now that all the other competition is gone. And who loses out? All those 90,000 customers that are now spending more money at Walmart than they would have before had they just drove around town to go to the like 6 businesses that were outcompeted, and that relates to every single business out there, whether you're interested in fish or construction or you need to eat food. Like, and so, as who was it? I don't want to misquote the wrong person. Where did it go? Somebody said, where did it go? We need Rogers Aquarium said we need protection from bad politicians. Yeah, we need to vote. All of us need to vote. We all need to have. I think the biggest thing that Americans should be focusing on the next couple of years is reforming our voting system. In Washington State, where I live, you can register to vote online. They send you the verification in the mail. You send the mail back. When it comes time to vote, the ballot is sent to your house with the voting pamphlet, all of that kind of stuff. The voting pamphlet and everything comes before, like a week before. Gives you time to research what has been proposed. Gives you time to look up the people that are going to be elected instead of being in this weird little booth where you're trying to remember if Steve Johnson is better than Johnson Steve, right? And you're like, I don't know, I can't remember. And you end up voting Republican or Democrat just because you generally fall in line with that, right? We need access to voting. We need a lot more of a voting turnout. I mean, that's what we need to be focusing on as far as I'm concerned in the U.S. is getting everybody to vote, 100% need to vote. Pipeback says, is it true that corridors can't live on sharp gravel without their barbels wearing down? I see conflicting information. I always thought that, corridors can't live on sharp gravel. That's always been the old wives' tale, advice that we would give people. But on further investigation, Corey went down to Peru and found corridors living on sharp gravel. So I think the reality is that I don't know why a fish would voluntarily damage itself by its feeding process. That might happen, but it doesn't seem to really be the case. Realistically, I think you're probably fine with whatever you have in your tank. I generally would like to provide them with a little bit of sand in order to just give a good place for them to chill out when it comes time for them to rest and stuff. But other than, stressing out about whether or not your aquarium gravel is sharp or not, I don't think is that big of a deal. Let's see. Here, when companies get too big or become a monopoly, they are forced to split. That's how it used to be. So the phone company used to have phone, internet, cells, and they had to split into three. Yeah, we have anti-monopoly laws here too, but it's whether or not they actually get utilized or enforced. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Is really the question. Does it actually happen? Okay, I care more about crypts and swords anyway, hoping they last until the fresh substrate shows up on Wednesday. What happened? Alyssa. Random crypts and a couple of swords and pearlweed and some kind of hygrophila. I have aquarium plants question. How long can plants live in a bucket without direct light? Oh, okay. Alyssa, I have really mixed results with plants living in a bucket without light. Sometimes the whole thing melts off and gets disgusting. Sometimes they last weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, I wish I could give a wondrous answer that was 9 days. But the issue is I've had completely mixed results. I've had plants live in a bucket in my fish room for months and months and months. And at other times, I've put them in a bucket for 3 days and they died. So it's very weird. And I wish I had a reason as to what's going on. I'm sure it's some kind of the likelihood that it's some kind of bacterial bloom or something like that is pretty high. So I can't really answer with authority to say but generally speaking, it's been fine. Every once in a while, it's been not fine. We have 2 Kiwis here right now. Who is manning the shop over there? Well, New Zealand is strong on automation as far as important things. So I think the other 3 New Zealanders probably got it handled, right? Zombie Drummer is late. Well, better late than never, right? YouTube says I'm supposed to tell you to hit the like button. So I did. There we go. U.S. Supreme Court has only allowed one monopoly in the USA, and that is the Major League Baseball. I think that sounds right, Dana. I think that sounds right. I'd have to look. I'd have to look further into that, but yeah, that does sounds correct. Bonsoir says, just got a 180. Love the layout of your tanks. Any advice on setup? I also have 55-gallon sump on it. Got a great deal. I hope you got a great deal. Yeah, 180-gallon tanks are pretty dope. I like them a lot. The layout of my tanks, like, are you asking about hardscape or the actual stand and everything? Like, my fish room is super cramped. The layout is less than optimal. I think I'm going to make some changes to it. But I'm still on the fence about deciding on that or not. But I always recommend 1 tank, 1 sump, 1 stand. That's the way to go as far as I'm concerned. Although a lot of people like racks of tanks, but I personally find myself just overly, like, I think I feel overly neglectful if I don't just set up a tank and a sump and everything. Like, if I have everything up on racks, I think I personally end up neglecting it too much. Not exactly the greatest thing. Johan Martinson is here. Hello, mister. Just popped in for some water change Monday. Ooh, nice. I like that. I do have 2 tanks to do a water change on today, so I respect that game. Respect that Monday water change game. I know some people like to do water change Wednesday, but I think that's just that's goofy. I don't like the midweek water change. I like the ends, personally. Plants and hardscape. Well, when I'm setting up for plants and hardscape, I generally am planning for, I guess the way that I generally go with is, like, what are the water parameters going to be in the tank? So what plants can all kind of coincide together? And then I build foreground, midground, and background. That's generally how I go about it. And then what I can acquire to fit in there. So rarity comes into play. Like, so if I've kept the plant or not, definitely is in my deciding, like, do I want to buy that plant? Well, I used to keep that plant or whatever. But generally speaking, nowadays, I like to get plants that I don't currently have. But it's normally just a foreground plant, a midground plant, and a background plant, and kind of go from there. And then collectoritis kicks in, and I start adding a bunch of other stuff over time. And it gets into a total cluster, and then I have to redo the whole damn tank. So, yeah. Dana Simpson said he asked me to go to Home Depot to get a yo-yo. What's a yo-yo? Like a yo-yo? Like on a string? It's hard to explain. How can we explain what a yo-yo is? A yo-yo? I mean, it's like yo. I'm gonna just straight up, like, look up. Is a toy consisting of an axle connected to 2 discs on a string looped around the axle, similar to a spool. God, that is just so much better than I could have explained it. It is played by holding the free end of the string, known as the handle, by inserting 1 finger, usually in the middle index finger, into a slip knot, allowing gravity or the force of a throw and gravity to spin the yo-yo and unwind the string similar to how a pull string works. The player then allows the yo-yo to wind itself back up to the player's hand, exploiting its spin. Yeah, I don't know. So that's what a yo-yo is. I don't know. It seems a little, it's like impossible to explain, I guess, realistically. I think if we get, but yeah, I'm not sure why I'd send you to Home Depot for a yo-yo. I don't know. Maybe a self-retracting chalk line? Maybe he's sending you for a chalk line? That could be a chalk line? I don't know. I'm confused. I do have to tell you guys, I often deal with construction guys that are highly confusing. I'm like, I don't know what the F is going on with this weirdo. Just asked me for some bizarro thing, and then it's like, oh, you need a strap that goes across here? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll go. They're over there, Marlon Allen Supertran with a super chat of PHP. What is that? I don't know what that is. PHP currency? What is that? Let's see. PHP currency. Click. Philippines. Oh, what's up? All the way from the Philippines. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. Very appreciate it. I don't see very many super chats from the Philippines. So, hey. And the Swedish kroner from Johan Martinsson. Some pocket money for some ice cream. I don't know how much 50 Swedish kroner is, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. James N with the 20. Is that pound? That must be the pound, right? Well, there's no question attached to it. All right, we'll see if James has a question. We'll keep an eye out for James. I always get the euro and the pound mixed up in my head. Yeah, that's a pound. 20 pounds. Oh, my God. That's so much money. That's more than American dollars. Well, I appreciate it, man. 100%, dude. Try to keep the lights on around here. And y'all super chats and memberships and stuff like that goes a million miles compared to just watching. So hopefully you get some value out of this, and hopefully you want to join the community and see more content, more produced content coming out. I do have more produced content coming out. It's just going to be a matter of time. Right now, my work schedule is just like jammed up with stuff. So, unfortunately, like editing content just kind of hits the back burner. So, just jumped back in the van after dropping off a dog and heard the most thorough explanation of a yo-yo I've ever heard. That's right. That's the most thorough explanation of a yo-yo I've ever experienced, I think. But yeah, it's significant super chats, you guys, today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Marlon says, hello from the Philippines. It's 3 p.m. I bought plants last weekend, got busy with other things. Now the plants look like they're dying. So I'm planting now, and I have work at 8 a.m. Well, that's not too bad. You have to work. If it's 3 p.m. right now and you have to work at 8 a.m., that sounds like that should give you plenty of time, but maybe you're saying it's 3 a.m. Because the Philippines, it should be like 3 a.m. right now, right? Let's see. Time. Yeah, 3:48 a.m. in the Philippines. Woo! That's a late night planting. Oh my God. Appreciate it though. Yeah, I often, I'll float plants in tanks and stuff like that. Definitely big time. It's definitely big time to get them into tanks. I try not to float plants anymore. Generally speaking, I put a weight on the plants, or even if they're in the pot, I'll even just fish a weight into the pot itself and drop those in there so that they can go all the way down to the bottom. And I have a tank right now where I've done that, where I just allowed the pot to sit on top of the substrate and it just root out throughout there. And maybe I get at some point If maybe at some point if I can get the video of that edited up, it'll make more sense. But yeah, it's just trying to kind of point out an aspect. But there's a part of that video I haven't filmed yet, so I can't even really edit it yet. But I'll see maybe if that's done, I can put that out for you. But yeah, I always try to get them and not allow them to float. If they float, they're generally going to have some kind of issue. They grow all weird, and sometimes they just melt off, and it's not the best. ADK is wondering what's with the 98 of 700 members. Well, we currently have 98 members, I think. Let me check. We currently have 98 YouTube members. Shout out to all the members, all 98 of you. We've had a bunch of people that have lost their membership, and, you know, that's just life, man. Everything's going up and down and all around and all that kind of stuff. And we're trying to get to 700. That's our goal. 700 members, I'll just go full-time and do YouTube. I won't have to do other stuff. Plus, at 700, we get a manager, a human being at YouTube. A human being at YouTube that if you have a representative from YouTube, and you get to meet with them, once every like couple weeks or something like that, to be able to figure out what's going on with your channel, you know? So it's like, did this video do well? For sure. Hard to say. But with representatives at YouTube, they can actually say whether or not it did. Or if you got promotions and stuff like that. It's just, I've never spoken to a human that works at YouTube, even though I've been on YouTube since, 2008, something like that. So, yeah. Andrew Holman says, what is the best method to clean your hands of a job site, oil, and grime while keeping them fish safe before sticking them into a tank? Well, the first thing to do is wear gloves, okay? I have gloves everywhere, okay? Like, these are super cheap. Hold on, let me see how much. Let's find an Amazon link in case people want to buy stuff from Amazon, because we're an Amazon affiliate, right? Let's see, orders. Where I even had to order gloves the other day. Here you go. Text, copy. Click over here. Control V, post it into the chat. We are an Amazon affiliate. If you buy stuff from Amazon, it doesn't change your price. We get a commission, blah, blah, blah. Just so you know. It's better than accidentally clicking on someone you've never heard from's Amazon thing, right? So, first things first, always wear gloves. Wear gloves at all times. Gloves are cheap nowadays. Gloves are affordable nowadays. And it is paramountly important. I can say, as somebody for years and years and years that has done diesel mechanics to being a chef, all that kind of stuff. As being a chef, I wore nitrile gloves all the time. Okay? All the time. You have no bare hand contact with ready-to-eat food. So you have to wear gloves in the kitchen. And I started doing that. So my hands used to be... I used to have all these crazy calluses I used to have to cut off. I would have crazy hangnails. I'd have grease and black crap all over my hands all the time. And at one point in time, I said, screw this. My hands hurt. Things are under my fingernails and, just all this stuff I got to deal with all the time. And when the things under your fingernails are sometimes raw chicken, raw duck, whatever, beef, all that kind of stuff, it's nar. It's nasty. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to wear gloves whenever I can all the time. First and foremost, do that. These ones even wash in the washing machine. I get it. You guys want your hands to be all super tough, and I do have calluses all over my hands and everything, but I do everything I can to take care of my hands. I've cut my fingers off. I've cut fingernails off. I've done all sorts of crazy stuff. I try to maintain my hands because when they hurt and they're all screwed up, you can't do what you need to do with them. And coming home and doing things like messing around in your aquarium when you have all these crazy hangnails and cuts and stuff all over your hands, it becomes obvious that you're not taking care of your hands very well. When you have to come home and spend a half an hour like grinding away on your hands with the pumice stone and all that kind of stuff to get everything off, you kind of come to the realization like maybe you aren't taking care of your hands the right way. So I just started making a concerted effort to do that. Obviously my hands still get all dirty and nasty all the time, but it's not as bad as before. So what I used to use is that orange soap, and that stuff gets stuff off, but it doesn't work very well. So what I started doing was lemon juice and salt, and doing that, and that grinds it off a lot better than any of the soaps I've ever been able to buy. And then I use like this, like it's like a earth-friendly, non-scented soap that we use here at the house. Wash my hands off, rinse them off real good, and dry my hands. It's all pretty basic from there. You just want to use an unscented soap that is economically friendly. You know, that's just going to be the best way to go. Probably costs like $1 more to get the eco-friendly soap, and just go that way. Big D Smoke says I had to wear gloves at work. A pair would last a few days. I definitely have gloves that only last like 1 or 2, maybe 3 days and stuff like that. That's why I swapped over to kind of, you know, I think these ones are like $12 for 12 pairs. So it's legit, you know, kind of like $1. You're like, all right, man, it's just kind of the cost of doing business. It's built into work. You know, I own thousands of dollars worth of tools that I take to work. You know, a couple bucks here and there to keep my hands in good shape. It's important. J.R. Herrick says, great question. I'm a woodworker by trade, and I'm staining and finishing woodwork daily. Yeah, as far as, you know, I'm actually going to stain some more wood today. I stain wood on a regular basis. I paint on a regular basis. Drywall, sheetrock, electrical, all that stuff. I do all that crap. And, like, these gloves are great for most everything, but, like, staining and stuff like that, I just get some cheap nitrile gloves. Although they've gone insane in price in the last since the pandemic kicked off. I think a case now is like $200, whereas before it was like $50 for a case. So, I don't know what to do about getting the cost down on disposable gloves like that. I'm not in charge of any of that stuff, and it might just be a shop around thing. But as far as staining and all that stuff goes, I just use disposable nitrile. But yeah, you don't want to get paint and stain in your fish tank. It's just not going to be good. Myrtle Singh says there are humans in the YouTube business. Yeah, I'm one of them. But I'm just a guy who makes videos and stuff. J.R. Herrick says, do any of you dose fertilizer the same day of a water change using Prime? Typically, no. Normally, like I'll do a water changes on Monday, and I normally add fertilizer like later in the week. And I think it's not a conscious thing. It's just regularly like kind of when I dose fertilizer. I used to be on like a pretty strict regimen of fertilizing and stuff like that, and I've definitely laid off that of late, mainly because I'm just I'll add fertilizer when I'm like, oh, the plants look a little deficient. Okay, you know, I could build dosers and do all that stuff if I wanted to, but I don't know. It seems like overkill for, you know, home stuff. It's a good idea for the co-op. We have all that set up at the co-op, but you know. Jay's Crazy Obsession says bleach and grill sanitize are my biggest worries. Bleach is pretty easy because it's really easy to what's the word? Neutralize bleach with water. Water and time. That's the easy one. What is this? Let's see. Hold on. We might have to look this up differently. What neutralizes bleach? I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Sodium metabisulfite is an effective bleach neutralizer. 2.2 grams, 1 spoon of sodium. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I used to have this in my truck when I was doing bleach dosing machines. Yeah, sodium metabisulfite. If you want to get some, you can. It's really kind of not. It's really not needed for like home use and whatnot. If you have bleach all over your hands, just rinse them in water. Warm water will help it remove from your skin and evaporate. Bleach evaporates like crazy. Chlorine does. So, just do that. You'll be fine. Warm water. Jay's Crazy Obsessions. Corvus, how do you get the smell off your hand? Lemon juice work for bleach? Yeah, salt and lemon juice is just kind of the best to get pretty much just about anything off of your hands. It's pretty much going to work pretty darn well. Unless I get like 220 disposable nitrile gloves from Costco for about 20 to 25. Yeah, I used to buy the heavy-duty black nitrile gloves, which I think were the 6 mil ones or 8 mil. I can't remember which one it is. But those was 10 boxes of 100, so 1,000 gloves for like $60. So it's gone crazy expensive. But yeah, these are the light duty gloves. The ones that I linked in chat are the more heavy duty work gloves. They actually last like a good amount of time doing concrete, doing drywall, doing wood construction, framing, all that kind of stuff, electrical, whatever. They're pretty cut resistant. So they're not 100% cut resistant. It's not like stab a knife at your hand or anything like that, but they work. The green ones, the green band around the bottom there, they are a lot more heavy duty, and $2 for a pair, because I think it was like $12 for 6 pair. They'll last you a good amount of time, and if you have to order some of those once a month, it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a drag to buy them or whatever, but it is what it is. Ooh, getting down to the spicy part of the coffee. It's getting super coffee down there. All right, I will be right back. I have to go potty. Let me see. Hold on. Where's my input? Do I even have like a video input? I somehow have video input here. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, we're back. What's up, buddy? All right, I'm back. I had to run to the bathroom. I had to go pee, dude. Sorry, bros. Paula Kreenberg says, I have a good stockpile of nitrile gloves. I have a protocol for orchid work that requires a certain level of sanitization. Or sanitation. Sanitization? Sanitation. There we go. Yeah, I think there's just a reality of, like, once you kind of put that kind of stuff into your workflow, it becomes like a really non-issue, and it's just something that you do. But it is kind of a pain to, like, get into it, you know. Starting out, getting into the habit is like, you know, trying to figure out like how to get everything like sorted out so that it makes sense. But yeah, that's the best advice I can give realistically and from my own experience of like, you gotta take care of you gotta take care of your hands, dude. Like, it's just super important. How many guys and gals I know that are much older than me, 20, 30 years older than me, and their hands are just screwed up. It's really important. In my opinion, it's very, very important. The supply, JR says, the supply chain for PPE is ridiculous right now. I visited 4 stores this weekend looking for N95 dust masks and found 0. People are hoarding them, and I'm just trying to add an exhaust vent in my bath. Yeah, it is super hard to find dust masks and stuff like that. The best company that I could advise, like, that has a decent dust mask would be, and I'm not affiliated with these guys, but if you do buy from Amazon, obviously, I'll get a commission if you buy from them, so take it with a grain of salt. But the one that I use, it actually has like a changeable insert, and they've done pretty darn good. Obviously, this is certainly not cheap, to say the least, but it is a reusable. You can wash the outside of it, and you can change the little filter inside it. This one's like $30, so it's far from cheap. But considering I have to wear them out on the job site and stuff, definitely comes in wildly handy. This is the most comfortable one that doesn't like fog up glasses or eye protection. So it's kind of the best one. Those RZ masks pretty much have worked out the best in my testing a whole bunch of like different disposable masks and all that. So it's definitely it's been my favorite mask out of all of them, I think. And they do have like a little cover piece for the vent so that you are no longer like direct venting, so it actually is good for the coronavirus too. Let's see, what the hell is this? Getting blown up by... Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm getting blown up by Black Friday emails. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, but dude, everybody has some kind of Black Friday deal going on right now. It's like, it's out of control, dude. I think the worst job I did was stucco, mixing up the mud and taking the wheelbarrow up the scaffolding to the guys throwing it on the structure. Yeah, stucco's an abysmal job, and I'm not a big fan of doing stucco myself, but I don't mind doing sheetrock and wall rock and stuff like that. Like, that's not really that bad to me. But stucco is just out there kind of bananas like stuff. But luckily we don't do a lot of stucco construction where I live, so I don't have to worry about that. J.R. Byers here. What's up, man? Jared Byer. Did I say J.R.? J.R. Herrick says attic insulation is not good for the lungs. That is right. And considering I've had this lung inflammation all year, that just from the pneumonia I had earlier this year, it's especially like bad news. Big D Smoke says Alaska won't let you fly with the masks that have a vent outlet on it. Yeah, but if the vent outlet is covered, it's not a big deal. It's just the same as a mask. But yeah, what I'm saying is that RZ they have a different vent thing that you can put on there that's closed up. The first job I had after leaving home was making electrical gloves out of suede. I hated that job. Yeah, I don't know what electrical gloves out of suede. Let's see. I'm going to actually just look that up. Electrical gloves out of suede. Let's see. Oh, God, lineman gloves. Okay, yeah, duh. These are some dope-looking lineman gloves right here. Klein Tools. Oh, look at those. I don't know if that's suede, though. That's leather, neoprene, nylon, and spandoozles. Those are some nice-looking gloves there. Those are some lineman gloves if I've ever seen them before. Yeah, I just generally go with these disposable-ish ones. Get a lot more for your money. I mean, these lineman gloves are, what, $60? So I can get like a lot of pairs of these ones for $60. And those lineman gloves will wear out quick because they're just leather palm, and leather palm gloves just get annihilated by me using them. So yeah, I don't buy like mechanics gloves and stuff like that anymore because they get blown out super fast. I worked for a horse ranch and sent frozen... Punchy Paints worked for a horse ranch and sent frozen semen all over the world. Well, there you go. Hey, you know, when you got samples and you got to send them out, they got to be sent out. And most farm animals have got to be inseminated more often than not. Unfortunately, the mating is just more dangerous, and you also wouldn't want to send your stud out all around the world. Although some people do that. They do ship their studs around the world and have them breed, which I don't know. For glasses, I find the disposable masks with the underwire don't fog too much. Fabric masks with a little surgical tape over the nose work well. So I have like these little aluminum strips that have adhesive on one side, so you like peel that off, and then you put like that aluminum strip over the disposable cloth masks. That works good, and then you have to have like a little foam on the inside to keep you. It's one thing to like go into a store and have your glasses fog up a little bit, but like when you're running a saw overhead, you know, sawing holes into things and stuff, like having your glasses all fogged up is just a nightmare, and it's really dangerous too. So it is a concern of mine to make sure that not only do you have your PPP on, but also not be all like crazy fogged up and dangerous. You know, you don't want to be in that danger zone. You know what I mean? Doing dangerous stuff. That was Arizona. Everything is stucco. At least it was in the 70s. Yeah, everything down south in the Southwest is stucco, and I am not a big fan of stucco or working in 120-degree heat. Not a big fan of that either. So, combination of the two, that's for sure. All right, let's see what else we got here in the chat. I'm going to scroll back. Let's see. Johan is eating frozen cheesecake. I'm like, dude, I'm into that. I'm super hungry right now. I could go for lunch. I got to cook me some noodles, man. Cook me some ramen, dude. I'm saving my money. Saving my money eating boiled eggs and ramen. But it makes your farts out of control, though. I'll tell you that. Rumbus says, without actually counting, I'd say the left in the U.S. is to the right of about 90% of the rest of the world. Yes, I will say that. The United States is surprisingly right-wing. Like the whole entire of it is super conservative, and it's very weird to think that, like, when I address a situation of like we need to do mass housing construction projects, that most people in the U.S. are like, oh my God, that's absurd. That's not bootstrapping yourself into whatever I think. Whereas the United States was built on that. The United States was built on giant, federally subsidized housing projects, which it just kind of boggles my mind. It boggles my mind that, like, that's the history of the U.S., of what the U.S. was built on, but yet somehow has been vilified by, I don't know, Ronald Reagan, I guess. I guess it was Ronald Reagan. Seems to be the common thread that I generally pluck the little string at, and eventually a lot of it runs back to Ronald Reagan, Bush Sr., and then later on Bush Jr., when conservatives say the left is too far left, I point out we haven't even used a guillotine on any billionaire. Okay, I don't endorse guillotining anybody. That is not even remotely something that I would endorse at all. But I definitely do endorse things like, like Andrew Yang with his, what did he call it? His, like, freedom dividend. Like, that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff really makes sense to me. Like, you want to drive the economy. You want to put money in people's pockets. Like, it's pretty clear this year, like, we've spent trillions of dollars trying to navigate this pandemic. Meanwhile, the average person only got $1,200 worth of help, when we're all generally supposed to be staying home and only doing required stuff to try and stop this virus from getting out of control. And we still have over 200,000 people dead in the U.S., which is insanely sad to me. It really is. It is really, really sad to me that, like, a couple 100,000 people have died in the U.S. It does. And maybe it doesn't affect you, and maybe you don't think that that's important or anything like that, but I really do. But yeah, I'd say something like the freedom dividend or whatnot does make sense to me in realistic terms, Jay's Crazy Obsessions, I'm going to run. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for the advice with the Starabas Corridors. Probably one of my favorite corridors, really, I would say, is the Starabai. They're pretty cool. Let's see here. What's that? 80K says, is there background music now? Yeah, I got some light background music playing. I don't know. I find it more enjoyable to have just like a little bit of tunage in the background playing, and some people like it, some people don't. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I can't please everybody, and I've never like tried to please everybody. This Nature Man says, when I worked at GM, they had a glove vending machines that were free. Most people wouldn't push the buttons. They would open the door and stuff their pocket. Yeah, that is a problem. If something like that is being abused, then everybody loses it. I have been through that as a manager at businesses. We had to verify who is taking stuff, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people just steal from the business and stuff, and I certainly don't endorse that behavior either. But I do endorse companies and corporations providing the safety equipment that's required for the job at hand, for sure, 100%. Alyssa says, I wonder if that was so they didn't have to keep running back to the machine. No. I legit did some work with a guy a while ago who worked at Boeing, and apparently at Boeing you get like 3 pairs of those professional like mechanics gloves every month or something like that. You get a bunch of those for free and you just take them home. So he just had like a stack of them at his house and gave me a pair and was like, no, don't worry about it. You don't need to give me any money. They're free. I just get them for free from work, So, it's just, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate that people take advantage of stuff like that, but also, I don't know really how to mitigate it other than I worked for a corporation where, we would have these Echo brand leaf blowers, which these things are dope, dude. And I should probably look one up so I can share one with you guys in case somebody wants to buy a leaf blower. Because somebody bought a snow blower off of my Amazon links a little while ago. So let's go Echo leaf blower backpack. These things are dope. Where's the good one? Wow, man, these have not gone up in price in 20 years. That's bizarre. Yeah, they just haven't really gone up in price. They're $500 still, which is obviously a lot of money for the average person. But if you have a lot of use for a freaking backpack leaf blower, there you go. That's the best one. They're still $500. They cost $500 17 years ago. And one of the weird things that we had to do was we basically incentivized the workers. So we gave them extra money to pay and buy their own leaf blower, right? And it was the only way to get people to like maintain their leaf blower. If they had to buy another one, then they had to pay for it, right? Because people were like slamming these things around in and out of the backs of trucks, just chucking them in there, and then they become broken. So we basically were just like, I don't know how to mitigate this and like convince people not to break this equipment. And it just seems to me that it was like the lamest solution was to like force people to be financially incentivized to maintain their own tool that they had to pay for. But it's what we ended up doing. And did it work? Sort of. Like, we went through less leaf blowers, I'll tell you that. But did it really work? I don't know. It was very bizarre. So maybe that's something that would have to happen, where you'd be like, well, we charge you $5 for the gloves, or we charge you cost for the gloves or something. And if you want them, you get like one free pair, but if you want an extra pair, I don't know how any of that would work, but it'll probably end up being something like that. But the problem is, like, you put free stuff out there like that, and boom, next thing you know, like, employees just take advantage of it. Same thing with like work shoes. I worked at a place where you got a credit to order work shoes through the company like once every 6 months or something like that. Excuse me. No, the leaf blower was somebody bought a Husqvarna. Where was it? It was a Husqvarna. How do you spell that? Husqvarna snow blower. I think it was this one. 27-inch. Yeah, I think it was this one. This one is a beast. Look at this thing. Unable to generate link? Why not? Generate a link. you butt. Oops. Uh-oh, I generated the link wrong. Copy. Control V. There you go. Look at this thing. This thing's a beast. This is a beastly snowblower, and somebody ordered this through my Amazon. And I got to tell you, I get mad respect to anybody that orders this much snow-blowing machinery, first and foremost. Secondly, a little extra respect for somebody that ordered it through my my Amazon, dude. Respect. Ooh. There's a Husqvarna concrete saw in here, and I have to say, I have very limited use for that, but when I really need it, it would be nice to not have to go rent one. That would be cool. But I just don't think I cut concrete enough to have to maintain my own, so I do rent it. And I gotta tell you, the rentals are always like super beat up. Steel Angus says, "What's up, Secret History?" Oh, what's up, Alex? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? During one of our polar vortex snows when it was 0. What was Dave saying? I've used my leaf blower on powder before. Works great. Oh, it does. Yeah. I've used a leaf blower on powdery snow. But wet snow? No way, dude. It's just a nightmare. You just stand out there like... You just stand out there being pissed. Dave says, the feeling of ownership is powerful if it's real. Otherwise, it's just another game companies and employees play. Yeah, that's for sure. That's why I'm a bigger fan of co-ops and stuff like that, where people are actually invested in the company, or at least a company that has like incentive programs, 401k. I mean, if companies were to bring back pensions, I would be a big proponent of that. I think that's going to be a big movement that we'll see in the U.S. here in probably the next 5 or 10 years, when people start retiring and they're hopefully their 401ks and stuff are still existing and they're able to get that money out of there. But I know it's like a lot of people that I knew that were retiring around the 2008 crisis time. Like my dad would be a good example. Like, he lost a ton of money off of his retirement because the economy collapsed. Husqvarna was the oldest motorcycle manufacturer in the world when they stopped and handed that title to Harley like 25 years ago. Haven't forgiven them yet. I wouldn't be super mad about that, because Husqvarna makes the best chainsaws. They make the best leaf blowers. Or not leaf blowers. Echo makes the best leaf blowers, but Husqvarna makes probably the best snow blowers, and amongst other things. Very distinctive, the old Husqvarna motorcycle. The dirt bikes they made, very distinctive. I definitely enjoyed the dirt bikes when I was a young guy, but I don't dirt bike anymore because I have concerns about my physical body surviving. Dirt biking, realistically. I want to play with some different leaves for aquascaping and also for tannins and black water. Have you tried acorns, any sort of pine cones, or other local stuff that's unique shaped? I mean, yeah. It's pretty easy to find alder cones and acorns and stuff, but most of the acorns are just acorn shell. We have a lot of squirrel and rat activity, so most of it's going to be covered in something kind of nar. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff up here in Washington State that you can use. What's the tree I'm thinking of? Madrona trees. Madrona trees. There's a bunch of good stuff with madrona and whatnot. But I try to, these days, kind of stay out of the local collecting, mainly just because, while I think it's great, and it's probably a good addition to the hobby, I don't think it's like a great spot for me personally to be like crazy endorsing people going outside to pick up stuff and then throw it in their fish tank. We just start to think about things like where people are collecting. It would be really easy to have a lot of polycarbons and stuff like that on this. Oil and gas and things like that. Exhaust. It could be on the stuff that they're throwing in their tank. It could have a lot of detrimental reactions that maybe aren't the expectation that people think are going to happen. So I would just try to kind of not endorse that like crazy myself. But yeah, I'm sure, with a good soak and a boil and all that kind of stuff, you'll probably be fine. Alex, I love picking mushrooms. I'm totally unfamiliar with which ones are edible, so I just leave them on the ground now. So the UW mushroom hunting. So there's the Puget Sound Mycological Society. If you go to their website, it's psms.org. Copy. If you guys are interested in your local area, you would want to go to psms.org, and the UW actually has a whole fungi department. They do wild mushroom collecting hikes with doctors of fungus, right? So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Alex taking somebody on a mushroom hunt. It's totally fine. I'm sure it will be fine. My endorsement is to go with the doctors, that you will have other people with you and stuff like that. Just the extra verification of what it is that you're collecting. We have a lot of different fungus that pops up in Western Washington, and a lot of it is poisonous. That's my advice. Go with them. It'll be a good group. They'll take you on really cool hikes. They have a bunch of invested stuff, and all y'all go. It's a ton of fun, and it's a bunch of super laid back, chilled people. And they have a bunch of really cool events. So that's where I would say to go. I mean, don't count on taking the secret history living in your aquarium out into the woods. You guys, one of you all might trip and fall down, and no one's there to help you guys, right? Jay's Crazy Obsessions. A quick question. If I copy the URL and send it to someone, if they go through and order their own stuff, will it still work? Mom gets crazy during Christmas. If you copy the URL, like of my store, and she uses the storefront to just go to Amazon, it should store the cookie in there. So if it really doesn't matter, like whoever clicks on the link, it just takes you to Amazon. And you just go forward and do that, then yeah, it is something you can do. All right. What are we at? 12:35? 6? 12:36. Ooh. All right, let me scroll up. I almost read that out loud. I'm not reading that out loud. All right. Well, I think we're getting to that point. No new members today. We're still 98 of 700. No new members. All right. Let me check my Discord if anybody's got somebody over on Discord. Nobody's called. Nobody's called in. Should I change the date on here? Probably. Save. There we go. All right. Okay, so nobody called. Live stream. Where's the live stream? There it is. Oh, nobody commented in there. Oh, Michael, shout out. I'm sorry to hear about your puppy, man. That sucks. That I didn't comment on that earlier, but Michael had his pug, his oldest dog, passed away, and kind of started to tear up. I got a little bit sad, and it's one of those things. Like I think about my dog, Mr. Chips. He's old. He's just getting older every day, and I get he's gonna pass away. He's a dog. It's just gonna happen, and I'm really not looking forward to it. Hope it gets put off till like at least next summer, because I don't think I'd want to deal with that right now. I'd probably have to take a break from YouTube, I think, if it was like right now, which would suck. We got a $20 super chat from Janice. Oh my God, happy Thanksgiving. Oh my God, that's a lot. Jay's looking for the store link. It's on my YouTube page. Like if you just go to my main YouTube page, it's right there. I don't know if I can. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. My page. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Let's see if it loads. Share your storefront. Can I just copy the link? Oh God. Hold on. Oh my God. There used to be a button you could just push and it would just copy it to the clipboard. There. There's that. All right. It's always good to let people know what that is. There we go. Okay. Did I fix it? Okay. Yeah. Oh no, I have to click on this. Then I have to click on this. Okay, there we go. Now I fixed it. That's always funny. Like if I start acting like the show's over, like a whole bunch of people leave. Like 20 people just left. They're like, oh my God, he's got to end the show. I got to go. But, Alyssa says, with Mr. Chips, what's wrong with the snuggle bug? Well, he's super old. So, we adopted him like he was a really old dog when we adopted him. I don't know how old he is now, but he has a heart murmur and he's old. So he's got that stuff going on. He's got big lipoma on his side. He's a lumpy dog. But, I mean, he's okay. He still gets the zoomies and, he's got that stuff going on. But, occasionally gets that heart murmur cough thing going on, and that's not good. But try to feed him as well as I can and take care of him and keep him happy. And he seems to be doing okay. But, there's just going to come a day where he's not going to continue being a dog, And I look forward to that. John Larson says, my Samoyed is almost 15 years old, 2 years past normal lifespan. She eats really good. Mr. Chips eats pretty good. I have no idea how old he is. You know what I mean? When we adopted him, they said he was like 12 or 14 or something. Like, he was old when we adopted him. But it's been like some years, 3 or 4 years now or something like that. And I think he was like 10 when we adopted him. I think that they kind of overshot how old he was because he, in the time frame that we had him, he looked old when we got him, and then he sort of younged up. Does that make sense? Like, I think he got healthier as we took care of him, and he was in our house, and we were taking care of him. And then now he's looking the same way as when we adopted him like 3 years ago. Maybe, gosh, it might be 4 years ago now, something like that. But he's my buddy, and I just, stresses you out, as a human. You're like, oh man, I know I know he's not going to live forever, and I got a brain, but Still. Punchy paints. She remembers. Just like Pepperidge Farms. Make sure there's no pesticides. What are you guys talking about? Steel Angus. Are maple leaves safe in a Neo Caridina tank? Yeah, Neos can do with maple leaves, but just got to make sure that they're completely dried out, as Myrtle Singh was saying. And you also want to make sure that they're not like. You also want to make sure that they're like not near any source of pollutant or a tree that gets sprayed. You know, you got to know whether or not your city, municipality, county, whatever comes by and doesn't spray for caterpillars or any of that kind of weird stuff that does pop up from time to time. So I would double check on that if you're locally gathering stuff, because you know, pesticides and things like that get sprayed on trees while you're at work and you don't know, right? So you would always want to check on that kind of stuff to make sure if they're ever spraying or anything like that in your area. Great stream, but music playing while you speak is really distracting, just saying. Sorry, Deb. As I know, it's like a 50-50 thing to like have music playing or not. And I, you know, it's one of those things, like I can't please everybody, and I could like have it play on the speakers here, but then you would like barely pick it up through the mic, which would be crazy annoying, I think, and crazy distracting or whatnot. But I don't know, it's like one of those 50-50 things, man. And I don't know, I feel like I've been doing this live show and I've been doing lots of YouTube stuff for like a really long time, and I've got enough like negative response over the years that it's sort of like I'm just gonna kind of do what I like to do, and then all the people just come and go anyhow. There's very few people that have been around for the entirety that I've been on YouTube. Like I even have people pop up that were like, man, I used to watch your stuff like 8-10 years ago or whatever, and like now you don't swear anymore and you don't do this anymore, and like, you know, and I'm like, I don't know, man, I've been sober for almost 7 years now, and like I'm somebody's dad and all that kind of stuff, and you know, I do talk politics from time to time, and then people get pissed, and you know, so it's kind of one of those things that like I just sort of got to the point where I was like, I want to have some music, I want to have some tunes playing. It's like a 2-hour show where I'm just talking, and I'm like, it seems like a monotone drone. I could always like change the tune. What's our tune right now? I kind of like this vibe because it's just kind of like. Let's see what we got here. See, this one has the which I don't think is good quiet. Let's try this one. That one kind of spaces out and gets a little bit weird. Let's see. Excuse me. Oh, I tried this, but I didn't like that. That got annoying. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go back to what we were listening to. Josh Leak, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of chill. John Larson says, I like the music, but it's a little loud. But your voice is strong. All right. I wonder what it's set to. Let me see. Man, that's about as minimal as I can get it. Let's try 9. 9 out of 100. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that, like, you know, like I have it playing on speakers over here. You know, it just kind of gives me something to kind of like get into my head. Because it is a little bit weird because I think most people don't realize, like, when they listen to a radio show or something like that, they have all the ins and outs and commercials and all that kind of stuff. They have producers and people talking to them and clips playing and stuff. And I just don't have any of that unless it's me, like, adding in something. And so I think it's just kind of nice to be able to just have something playing in the background, you know? Jay's crazy obsessions. I really bonded with him and his cookies. Farm fish and freedom. Hey, Corvus, how do I get rid of Hydra? I have them in my shrimp tank. Lower feeding. Hydra are generally going to be produced by excess food in the tank. Do some water changes. Vac them out. So I just have... I used to have a piece of vinyl hose here, but I think I used it for something. Anyhow, I just have some real thin vinyl hose that I do my. It's it's bigger than airline, but it's smaller than a water change hose. You know, so I think it's like 3/8 inner diameter. I think is what the hose is. Let me see if I have a link. I better get a link for it. We always got to be selling, right? Jeez. Welcome to our capitalist society where I have to go get the links for peeps. Where's my orders? Your orders. And then let's go like this. Hose! Would help if I was in the right jammer. There we go. Let's move over here. There we go. Yeah, this 3/8 inner diameter hose here. Actually works really well. It's very easy to like clamp off. God, I didn't even copy the link properly. I'm an idiot. Sorry guys. I'm just getting full ham over here. There. So I just used this. I think I bought the 10-foot. I just bought like 10 feet of it. It was like $9. And then I just kind of used this for, you know, sucking out little things in the tank, getting little stuffs out of there that I don't want in, without just like all the water coming right out all crazy. Yeah, it'd be kind of the way to go. In my experience, doing water changes, lowering the feeding, making sure there's not stuff just sitting in there will help get rid of Hydra. There are things that you can add to the tank, like Panicure and things like that, but it has a tendency to get wildly out of hand. And I try to remind people that like natural treatments are going to be the best route for pretty much anything that you do out there. Anything fish tank related, try to go the natural route by doing water changes and human maintenance. Human maintenance is going to be your best tool always for just about anything. I seem to have Daphnia in all my tanks, even though I don't feed much. I think that's why the Hydra are showing up. Yeah, I think that's, you know, it's going to be the deal. I mean, if you have a lot of Daphnia and stuff like that showing up, like you do have excess food, and I would just reconsider what it is your feeding regimen. You might be able to dial it down and kind of calm that issue that you got going on. All right, for reals. Let's give our shout-outs here. Charlie, Fish Tank Barn, Marlon, Johan, James, and Janice going big time on the Super Chats today. If you enjoyed the content, hopefully you guys hit that membership button and, you know, become a member, because that's what's going to help keep this whole ding-dang thing afloat. And I'll be doing whatever as time goes on here.
Something I'm about to lose. I don't feel okay. Moving on, my memories of you. first time we looked us, it was already the end. Making love, did you love? Did our best just to pretend? You would teach me love is easy. We were more than just good friends. Something deep within my soul, feeling that I'm never gonna see again. Feeling that I'm never gonna see again. We were free, fucking time, got me waking up for more. You and me, summer nights, lying naked on the floor. It's like your place, we had time and space. Feel like we had it all. Not to breathe, soon to see. You just wanna make it fall. Just wanna make it fall. Just wanna make it fall. Ooh. Just wanna make it fall. Just wanna make it fall. Just wanna make it fall. The first time we loved us, it was already the end. Making love, did you love? Did our best just to pretend? You would teach me love is easy. We were more than just good friends. Something deep within the soul, feeling that I'm never gonna see again.